All right, American Horror Story Apocalypse, Episode 2, The Morning After. So some snakes are chopped up, put in a stew, and then they come back to life. And that is not the only thing that these guys see with their eyes. And then it ends up not being what they had thought they saw previously. So Michael Langdon comes in from the cooperative, and he's telling all these guys that if they want to make it to the sanctuary, they got to pass his little interview test. And they don't know what that entails, but Mr. Gallant decides to go first. And when he's in there, they have this back and forth where Gallant, reveals that he hates his grandmother. He also says that he will have sex with a woman if he absolutely has to for procreation, but Langdon assures him that they can get genetic material in other ways. They don't need them to have traditional sex for that, so that's not absolutely necessary, which is true. I mean, it's not necessary for. So I thought that was kind of funny. We also get a Hunger Games reference from one of the characters in this, which I'd mentioned in the previous episode. I was like, this is very Hunger Games, like a pre-Hunger Games television series. So I was glad that they kind of gave a little nod to how similar some of this does feel to that. So they have a little flirtation exchange, or at least that's the way Gallant sees it. Langdon just kind of has that sexual aura to him at all times, so it seems like he's flirting with men and women. He kind of got like a interview with the vampire thing, kind of feel to him. Some Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise action. That's how his character plays to me. So it just seems like he's very sexual in his charisma. So it seems like he's wanting to fuck Venable. It seems like he wants to have sex with freaking Gallant. So yeah, he's got that aura to him. Then Gallant goes back to his room, and this is when we see the Rubber Man. So we're getting our first connection to Murder House. And so they end up having sex. He goes and talks to Langdon again, and he thinks that they just had sex, and he thinks he rejects him. He knows it's him in his mind. He's convinced of it. So when Langdon says that he's the last man on earth and all of that, he gets super frustrated, pissed off, angry. And we'll get back to that in a minute. You guys know if you watch this by now. I hope you do, since we're talking spoilers here. But if for some reason you haven't, we'll get back to that. Anyway, so this is where we'll talk about Tim and Emily. So Tim and Emily find out because Gallant goes to Venable and he exposes her, and he's like, look, I know you've been screwing around. You've been making up these rules as it goes along. She's making shit up. She's trying to save her ass here, and he likes her tenacity. He likes her desire to fight. So he kind of gives it to her, but then he wants to bring her back down, belittle her and expose something about herself that she absolutely detests. So we get to realize why she has this cane. And at first, when he pulled her dress down, basically threatening her life if she didn't expose her body to him, he pulls down her dress, and this is when he sees her back. And at first I thought it was radiation. I was like, oh, she's actually has some radiation stuff going on there. And then I realized, oh no, that's just scoliosis, or at least that's what I think it is, right? And that's why she has the cane, and her spine is all C-curved or whatever. And she obviously adheres this. She despises this damn thing on her back. But he kind of is successful in breaking her down. She is just exposed in that moment. And she actually goes to the lengths to, kind of come on to his advancements of what she thinks is. Everybody, as I said, thinks that he wants to have sex with them. So she actually has this moment where she's going in for the kiss with him, and then they get interrupted and are pulled away from this. I don't think he was going to, because I don't think he has any interest in any of them. He's just kind of seeing how far they'll go. He's using all sorts of manipulation tactics, and seduction is just one of these tactics. So Tim and Emily, they go and they find Langdon's computer open, which he definitely left open for them to find out. As I said, this is all mind games for him. I really would like to see Andre and Dinah Stevens here. I really wish they would have some character development or some purpose in this season. Hopefully they get some later on, but so far they've been kind of pointless. They're cannon fodder for later deaths. But let's hope that they actually become characters, because as of right now, I'm unimpressed and have no interest in anything they've done so far. But yeah, Tim and Emily find this laptop. They go in. They realize that Venable had been making all this shit up all along, which we already knew. And so they do the thing they've been wanting to do since pretty much the beginning of all this. And they go and they give in to their earthly desires. And then they are caught by Miriam, and she takes them out to Venable, and she tells them, like, I don't give a shit what you think you know. Like, those were the rules. We're sticking to them. And Tim and Emily are like, oh my God, like, holy shit. Like, they thought that they were just going to break this apart, that someone was going to be there to be like, yeah, we were making it up. But nope, we're putting you to death. And so before this happens, freaking Gallant is in there with the rubber man the second time. And this time he's not letting him get the best of him. This time he grabs his shears and he stabs this son of a bitch to death, thinking he's getting back at him. And it cuts away, and we realize that it is his grandmother. So now, what I didn't care for about that scene was that it seemed like a lot of this had been built up to expose his hatred for his grandmother, right? So he comes in, he throws on the Frankie Goes to Hollywood relax song. He's scaring off the potential dudes that are after his grandmother's money. He's pissing her off. He's, we find out that he screwed up 3 hair salons, that he snorted one, and then he bankrupted 2 others. And he's basically just been this huge failure, but it's been his attempt to gain her acceptance of him and her love, and he's never been able to do it. So it's kind of been this this thing that's happening between them, that they're neither one's getting what they want out of it. And I don't know, it just he tells Langdon how much he hates his grandmother, and she is throwing him under the bus to try to get to the sanctuary to live longer, and they get into this huge fight where he's like, I'm only 30 fucking years old, you've lived a life, and she's like, my lifetime's worth 50 of yours, I will bring culture, I'll bring all these things with me, what the fuck do you have to offer? So there's a lot of tension going on between them, and there's all this tension being created, there's all this hatred being exposed, and then he kills her unbeknownst to him. Like, I feel like Langdon could have manipulated him into killing his grandmother outright. Like, I don't know. I feel like him doing it, when he didn't realize he was doing it, he thought he was getting back at Langdon, and he was taking out his frustrations and his anger on this other guy. When he realizes it's his grandmother, it just kind of takes away from everything that's happened in the episode. Like, why set up all of his hatred for her? It might play into the next episode where he's like, fine, I'm glad she's dead, I'm not going to say anything. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know. It took away a lot of what was being set up in the episode. I don't know if anyone else felt like that. I might be completely alone on that. We'll see. But regardless. Now, them seeing the snakes dead and then alive, and then Gallant seeing the rubber man there, and then it's his grandmother. Could that be some kind of spell that's being put on them by the Coven of Witches? Because we know that this connects to Murder House, which we finally got our first connection there. Finally, second episode. And we know it also attaches to Coven, which Emma Roberts reprises her role from the previous season. So we know that. Where the fuck is she, by the way? My girlfriend ain't been in this damn show yet. Come on, let's get her in here. But is it possible that that is a mind trick that's being put on by the witches from the 3rd season? I mean, that would make sense, right? Or is Michael Langdon a warlock? Is he part of that coven? Does he, or not that coven, but is he a warlock? Is he able to manipulate people's minds in order to make them see what he wants them to see? Is that what the snake thing is? We still don't know what that 666 on the mirror was from yet. Like, was that ever there? But okay, so let's move on, and we get to the last bit of this, which was the jaw dropper, the moment that it was like, what the fuck just happened? So Tim and Emily are going to be executed for their horrendous crime of having sex, and Tim gets the gun away and he shoots Miriam. I have no doubt that Tim and Emily will be fine for the next episode at least. They're not going to die off screen like that. So we'll get back to them, but in the next episode. But we then see Miriam, and she goes over and she looks at her chest, and boom, 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 we have a Ellie Grimbridge from Halloween 3 fembot reveal here. I don't know, that really came out of nowhere for me. I was very shocked by that. And it begs the question, like, does she work for the cooperative? Like, is she a robot? How many robots are in there right now? Is that big tall chick a robot? Is everyone who's like an enforcer a robot, or android, or whatever the hell you want to call them? Does she know that she is? I'm guessing that she has to know. But you never know. Like, these kinds of things happen all the time in these kinds of science fiction, beings like this, these little robots. They get in there and then they're just like, I didn't know I was a robot. I didn't know, like, whatever. So does she know? I'm pretty sure she knows, but she seems really like, holy shit. I don't know if that would be a fatal wound to an android, or she thinks she's going to be seen by people. I don't know. I guess people would probably more be reminded of like Bishop in Alien, but it takes me to Halloween 3. That was my initial thought. The yellow looking blood and all that stuff, just very Halloween 3. I love Halloween 3, as anyone who watches my channel enough knows. So anyways, guys, I think I nailed everything on here that I wanted to talk about. Giving it a real quick look over. Yeah, I think so. We know that a lot of the outposts have been overrun, and that they haven't been hearing anything from like overseas. This guy has an internet connection, so they must have some kind of satellite uplink or something that's giving him internet. Could this all just be a mind trick by a coven? Is the Earth not actually dead? Are we going to get like an M. Night Shyamalan Village thing where they go outside the barriers and the world is just... For some reason, my video cut out there. I have no idea why. Maybe I was getting too close to the truth and I was shut down. Just kidding. All right, guys. Well, anyways, tell me what you thought about this episode. I guess that was my cue to get the hell off of here. I'm really looking forward to people's theories, as always. Just kind of, shoot them down below. I think I've given a couple wild ones here. Probably won't be true at all. And hopefully we get to see my girlfriend, Emma Roberts, soon. Fingers crossed. I'll see you guys next week. Adios.